The Honourable Mark Pearson.
Thank you, Mr President. It's a question without notice to the Minister for Primary Industries, the Honourable Niall Blair. Given that Australian pork industry members are committed to phasing out sow stalls, a metal cage in which gestating sows can only take one step forward or back and not turn around, by 2017, will the government legislate to outlaw the use of sow stalls so that all piggeries in New South Wales are mandated sow stall free? Thank you.
Mr President, I thank the honourable member for his question. Mr President, gestation stalls, also known as sow stalls, are a form of accommodation used to confine sows during their pregnancy. The industry has recognised that the use of these stalls is no longer supported by the community, and in November 2010 voluntarily committed to pursue a phase-out by 2017, which is exactly what the member acknowledged in his question. This is a world-first initiative. For producers, implementation of this industry-led initiative involves expensive and complex modifications to their farms and practices. Producers deserve support for making these changes, and their efforts need to be recognised. I'm advised that 70% of the industry has completed the phase-out of sow stalls, and industry is confident that by 2017 the vision of a gestation stall-free industry will be realised. It is unfair to perpetuate the myth that industry continues to support the use of sow stalls and that they remain standard practice. It completely ignores and devalues what the industry has achieved. Rather, we need to support the industry and continue to work with them through this voluntary reform, and I commend Australian Pork Limited in particular for their efforts in this space. And Mr President, this is a clear example of how an industry can work with its members, understand what some of the community concerns are, and put in a practice, as I have outlined, that in some cases is expensive for them to implement, and they should be commended for such an initiative. We don't always need to be jumping in and putting legislation through when we've got an industry that's already saying we understand what the issue is, work with us, we're working with the consumer groups, and we will get the desired outcome. Mr President, that's what working with industry can achieve. And that's something that I again commend the Australian Pork Limited on the efforts that they're taking with their members. And as I said, up to 70% of the industry has already completed this phase-out. So again, Mr President, by the time, if we were to come up and legislate like the member has said, by the time we would probably get legislation drafted and put it through the House, the industry probably would have already done it ahead of us. And that's something that we need to recognise, Mr President. We recognise that sometimes the answer lies within those that work with the animals. Sometimes the answer lies within the industry groups that are looking at what's happening around the world and can say we can have a sensible discussion about animal welfare. We can put practices and plans in place to make sure that our businesses are viable, and we can get a win-win. We don't have to come in with the heavy stick. We can listen to what the consumer is saying, we can work with the industry, and we can do it in a way that allows those businesses that want to do the right thing, those businesses that are legitimately employing people, a lot of them in our regional communities, to continue to be productive. We've got this. That's what the industry is saying. We've got this. We don't need someone else telling us how we should do it. We have the answers, we work with our members, we work with our consumers, and we've got this. And Mr President, I think the industry needs to be commended for that.
Mr President.